Gov't dumps mob of Muslim refugees on town. Infidel mayor has perfect surprise waiting after a small town informed the government that they refused to take in asylum seekers. The liberal politicians ignored their decision and sent a mob of refugees anyway. However, as soon as the militant-aged migrants arrived at the town's hotel, the mayor was already expecting them and had a surprise waiting. Despite cries for help from their own citizens, Europe's government leaders continue to drown communities with ceaseless waves of Muslim migrants, who are almost all men. Blinded by the so-called refugee crisis, these out-of-touch elitists are unconcerned that they are creating their own local crisis, which is seeing civilians subjugated and eventually forced out of their own neighborhoods. Fortunately, one fed-up mayor had the gumption to take a stand in defense of his people in a way that's grabbed the ears of the federal government. Having witnessed his people already burdened and brutalized by resettled asylum seekers, Castellumberto Mayor Vincenzo Lionetto Siva decided to take a bold stand against liberal politicians that they could no longer ignore. Furious that the government had ignored his demands to stop sending dangerous Muslim migrants to leech off of the encumbered taxpayers, Siva rallied locals to barricade the hotel which was designated to house the mob of asylum seekers. Siva personally joined around 500 citizens in a revolt against authorities, blocking the entrances to the hotel with their vehicles. According to RT, "We have been invaded, overrun, and overwhelmed by the migrant management system of these cooperatives, which know nothing about our communities," Siva said. Unfortunately, Siva and his constituents were too late. Around 50 migrants had entered the building before the protesters could arrive. However, Siva had a backup plan. Refusing to allow his already overwhelmed citizens to pay for the migrants, the majority of whom will never gain employment, Siva prevented maintenance workers from fixing the hotel's lights, leaving the migrants without electricity in an effort to force them to leave. The mayor has taken a vow to continue demonstrating in front of the hotel until the 50 migrants are removed. Like clockwork, ignorant liberals attempted to shut down all logical debate by accusing the opposition of racism, although migrants and Islam have nothing to do with race. Still, Siva blasted them with valid reasoning, reminding them that they accept immigrants who obey Italian laws and contribute to society instead of seeking welfare or a life of crime. According to an interview with La Repubblica, "We are not racists. We are not against the arrival of migrants," Siva said, explaining that he only wants the newcomers to be distributed in accordance with the law. Siva's righteous defiance and unmatched patriotism have sparked a much-needed political fire in Italy. In fact, around 35 other mayors have announced that they will be joining Siva this week to stand in solidarity with his efforts to protect Italian citizens, laws, and the economy. The mayors have formed an unofficial coalition, demanding that the federal government stop flooding cities with unvetted migrants and allow the local governments to decide how many migrants they will resettle. Mirroring Siva, Besnard Mayor Giovanni Corbo staged a hunger strike when 32 Muslim refugees were dumped in his town, which was more than double the number he agreed to resettle. Corbo ended his fast Friday after receiving assurances from the government that within the following few weeks other asylum seekers will be moved to other facilities until there are only 15 hosted in Besnard. The time has come for asylum seeker reception to be based on something other than emergency measures. There must instead be a rational distribution across the country, flanked by careful management of migration flows, the mayor wrote on Facebook. Likewise, Civitavecchia Mayor Antonio Cozzolino also promised to fight the federal government after he discovered unauthorized plans to open a migration registration center in his town. Cozzolino expressed his suspicion with the government's choice to quietly resettle unapproved migrants in very small towns instead of the cities that have openly welcomed refugees. "The area is too small. I do not understand how we could have been chosen," Cozzolino said as cited by Ray. Mayor Siva has spurred a justified uprising against his tyrannical government, which no longer represents the people but their own political interests. His brazen move has inspired his people and even other leaders to revolt in a bid to salvage their culture and values from religious and political invaders. Despite the risk to his career and life, Siva and these brave local politicians are acting as a voice for the people. Hopefully, they continue to fight for their country in a time in which it's absolutely crucial to their survival.